Greetings, and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It's Saturday, March 8th, 2025, and on Saturdays, we delve into sports and hopefully spice it up with a little bit of humor along the way, too. So have you ever thought you might like to try your hand at playing a professional sport, even just briefly? What it would be like to see how you do against the top players, the best of the best, how big and how fast they are, what that atmosphere must be like? Well, that was sort of the premise behind the old reality show Pros vs. Joes. It aired on Spike TV from 2006 to 2010. But of course, that just involved pitting average Joes, people like myself, although presumably much younger, against typically former professional athletes in different sports. And they'd compete in these various competitions that were related to those particular sports. And of course, that's not really comparable to what I'm talking about, the idea of playing in a real game during an actual season. So what if you could play just one actual professional game in a sport that you love? What would that be like? How cool would that be? Well, I decided to have a look at players who did indeed have that one chance, the real pros, actual pros, who made it to the top, and they had a chance, but in each case, only one chance, so to speak. So I wanted to see what happened to them in the four major sports in North America. That is football, basketball, hockey, and Major League Baseball. And more specifically, I was curious to see who had the shortest professional careers, spent the least amount of time in the game, find out what happened to them, and why they never played again after that. So here's what I found. So first, in the case of the National Football League, there's Ryan Sutter, who was a defensive back activated by the Carolina Panthers in Week 13 of the 1998 season. Carolina played the New York Jets that week on November 29th. And on the first play of his first game, unfortunately, Sutter injured his shoulder trying to make a tackle on the kickoff. He was immediately placed on the injured reserve list and then eventually released. Total playing time in the NFL, 5 seconds. To the best of my knowledge, that's the shortest actual NFL career, at least on record. And then in terms of the National Basketball Association, the NBA, the shortest professional career ever seems to have belonged to one Jameson Curry. No, not related to Steph Curry. But after stints in the NBA Development League and in Europe, Curry made his NBA debut on January 24th, 2010 for the Los Angeles Clippers, who were playing the Boston Celtics. So that turned out to be Curry's only NBA appearance, and so he holds the record for the shortest NBA career of all time, having played just 3.9 seconds in his lone appearance. And he recorded no stats of any kind and never played again in the NBA. In the NHL, Greg Kohler played one game for the Carolina Hurricane during the 2000-2001 season, specifically on December 29th of 2000. So that was when Carolina played the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Kohler finally got the call to get on the ice. You'll probably understand that in hockey they play in shifts, rotating shifts. So he finally had his name called by the coach, and he jumped over the boards, skated onto the ice, and apparently after about only 8 or 9 strides, the referee blew the whistle, and there was a penalty, specifically against Columbus. And so Kohler knew, he turned to the bench and he started skating back because they were going on the power play, having just been called up. He knew he wasn't on the power play, and it turns out that he was never called to get back on the ice again that game. And thereafter, he never again was called up and never again played in an NHL game. So, total NHL playing time, about 4 seconds. He unfortunately never even got to touch the puck in his one stint out on the ice. Well, c'est la vie. And then there's the Major League Baseball. So Jimmy Boyle was called up by the 1926 Giants directly from college. He hadn't even played in the minor leagues, which is typically what happens in baseball. So instead, he was called up in June to play a game for the Giants against Pittsburgh. And their manager, John McGraw, sent him in to replace Paul Florence behind the plate in the top of the ninth at the Polo Grounds. So again, he was a catcher, and that ended up being his only inning of Major League Baseball. So he played the full inning. He caught in the top of the ninth. And then in the bottom of the ninth, his team didn't score, but he didn't have a chance to even get up to bat. And as it turns out, the Giants ended up losing the game 8-0. He was then released early the following month, early in August of 1926. And as mentioned, he never played baseball again. So I want to end, though, today on an interesting note, an honorable mention of sorts. And this honorable mention relates specifically to the person who I think had the greatest one-game career of all time, professional career, and at least in baseball. And that honor belongs to one John Paciorek. So he played in his one and only Major League Baseball game for Houston on the final day of the 1963 season. They were playing the Mets, and he played the entire game. And this is what he accomplished. He batted 3 for 3 with 2 walks. He drove in 3 runs, and he scored 4 runs himself. Unfortunately, due to a lingering back injury and surgery after the season, he never ended up playing a second game. And so he ended his career with a perfect 1,000 batting average. Of course, he doesn't qualify. I think the MLB record for highest career batting average belongs to Ty Cobb, which, if I recall, is about 366. But that pales in comparison to Paciorek's 1,000 batting average. A Hall of Fame career. Alas, but for only one game. Well, okay, so that's it for today. Just a brief vlog, and I was thinking about these things and thinking about professional sports and what it would be like. Well, it's never going to come to pass in my case, unless I can make it maybe in auto racing. If I can race in my 90s, I think the record is 91. So yeah, just put me behind the wheel and let me go nuts. All right, so that's it for today. So until next time, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives and nurture love in your hearts, and give someone a hug today who might need one. We'll see you soon.